You see, look, simple tubing, and who knew it could make such nice sounds? Look, this is rebar. Sounds like church bells. And this stuff is just plain old copper that you use to plumb a bathroom or whatever. And it's been patinaed. That's why it's gone green like this, because of course the normal color is this. So there's a special solution you put on, and I'll tell you about that. But you know what? Here's the thing. These are my first 2 wind chimes, and they don't actually work. I hung them outside with great anticipation, and I pulled up a patio chair and sat there waiting for them to ring, and it never happened. And that's because there's a bit of science to this, which I didn't realize. For one thing, the pipes are so far apart that would take, you know, a huge typhoon to get them to move together. Also, the wires they're hung on are a little too stiff, so that's no good. And over here, the rebar, it sounds beautiful, but the pipes are so heavy and they're far enough apart, they never actually hit each other. But anyway, I think in my own mind, at least, I figured out a way to do this right. So today's the day I try. So I'm going to show you how to make a copper one. And I'll show you how to drill into rebar too, just in case you want to use the rebar. It really is a prettier sound. But it's a little tricky drilling into solid steel. So you get your standard 1/2-inch copper tubing from the hardware store, and it usually has this red printing on it, which is a bit primitive for my taste, so I like to take that off. Now I've tried sanding it off and using like electric equipment to try to get that stuff off. All it really takes is just a little piece of steel wool. And it takes almost no effort at all. See, like it's gone. I can't believe how much I used to go through. It's tarnished right now, but then it comes right up. Okay? So, like, know about steel wool and copper tubing. They're great together. And then we have to cut some lengths. Now, this is tricky too, because different lengths have different tones. But what I discovered is that anything shorter than 5.5 inches doesn't make a sound at all. Listen to this. I'll put it on some wire for you and strike it, and you can actually not, it just makes a thudding sound like a cowbell or something. But as soon as it gets past this length, see, listen, that's not good, okay? But you go a little bit longer, and suddenly you have this beautiful sound. And I don't know what that is. I guess the amplitude of the wave is just long enough that it needs a little bit of extra length. Okay, oh, I can already hear it. See, listen. Amazing. Okay, so that's tip number 1. And to cut the pipe, you're going to have to use a tube cutter. And you probably already have one somewhere in the basement, but it's a really cool little thing that you would use in a plumbing repair. It has 2 rollers right here, and this is the cutting wheel. It's a little blade. And all you do is lay the pipe in that little roller bed and then tighten her up. Oh, it's a her all of a sudden. That pipe's going to be offended. Okay, now you don't want to overpinch this because it will dent the pipe and then the thing doesn't go around, it kind of limps around. Okay, so see the score it's making? If the score that it makes starts to spiral on you, you just have to loosen it off and start again, because it'll just keep spiraling all the way down the pipe and it'll never cut anything. Okay, so every time I come back to my start position, I tighten the knob a little bit, and it just keeps scoring deeper and deeper. And then all of a sudden, it starts to get looser, and then it just drops right off, like that. Okay? All right, so there's our first pipe. I'm going to actually have to cut about 6 or 7 of these, so I'll keep going.
There's an old French proverb, life is half spent before one knows what life is, and that's true. But I think there should be a Canadian proverb. Wind chimes are half finished before one knows whether they will make a real butt-kicking whack of noise or not, because something has to drown out those neighbors.
If you're the kind of person who's prone to cutting themselves, then it's a good idea to take a metal file and just take the roughness off the ends where the tube cutter cut. Or if you have a helper working alongside you, you don't want anybody snagging themselves on those nasty little burrs. And the way to use a metal file properly is it only cuts in one direction, so you need to push it across the top of the metal. And because copper is really soft, you wouldn't hurt the file if you went back and forth like this. But somebody for sure come along and say, you know, you're not using that tool properly, and you just feel like cold porridge. Okay, so these are all, I've got everything cut here, and you want to keep your metal file handy for the next step, which is drilling the hole for the wire to go through, because you kind of want a flat spot to get the drill started. It tends to skate around a lot. So you file a flat spot on the pipe with this file. And it doesn't have to be incredibly flat, but it just takes a little bit of smoothing out. But I'm still going to use a punch. You can actually just use a hammer and a nail, but this is a cool little compression punch. And just go like this, and that gets the thing started. Okay? Now I can, and I usually do it a couple of times just to make a good dimple. All right, and then safety glasses on for drilling. And get the thing started. Sometimes they still skate a bit, so there it goes. Woo. And there I'm through. And once again, I have to use the metal file just to take off. It's quite sharp there, that little where it came through on the other side. So just tidy that up, and a little bit on the other side. So it's nice and smooth. All right, now, I have placed this hole a couple of inches down, and then over here I've drilled this one actually a little deeper. This is an old one that I was working with the other day. Look what the difference is in their movement, you see. One's quite frisky, and the other is not so frisky. So this part really kills me, though. Just trying to get that little wire through is, well, that's good for half a day if you're not feeling too coordinated, which I rarely am. Okay, wait. Oh, there, it was through, and then there, that's better. Okay, so look at that baby walking. Waha, okay, that's got motion, huh? All right, that rocks. But look what happens. Paused for 10 minutes while I threw out another one. This one isn't gonna be quite so, rambunctious. And you might just have to take my word for it, because this threading thing is, oh, there, oh baby. Okay, look, it can't possibly move. Like, look at the difference. Huh? Mr. Active over on the left and Mr. Passive over on this side. Okay, so the trick then is to drill them a little bit farther down the old shaft. Okay? So I'm going to do that with most of them so they dance around a bit more. So I'm making a wind chime that's going to be hypersensitive. All right, so I'll drill a bunch of these. Oh, and I just wanted to show you about drilling rebar, because you might decide that you want the rebar thing, okay? Because it really does make a church chime kind of a sound. You have to use a cobalt bit. Okay, you have to go to the hardware store and ask for one. You might even have to go to a specialty tool supply place. But they're great bits. They're very powerful. They don't get as hot as a normal bit, so you can drill through solid steel. So I'm just going to load this baby up. And once again, we have to punch the rebar to make a place for the bit to bite. Okay, so that gives it a chance. And then safety glasses on. And once the bit gets going, I'm going to put oil into the hole so that it lubricates the process. It's a little bit slow, but it does work. Whoa! Okay. Oh, baby. That's a good sign. All right, so I've got almost all the way through, and I've just really been leaning on it was the thing to do. See that little dimple coming through there? I have to start that from the other side now, because the thing will just spin like crazy. So I just have to open it up there like so, and then I can just ream and bore a little bit here. Okay, so that's rebar. But look at the shavings, huh? Look at that. See, those cobalt bits really cut. Okay, so if you've got the 4 days to be drilling the rebar, that's your baby. Actually, it went a lot faster. I was just sort of not leaning on it enough. So the next section of this is, see how this plate just keeps all the pipes apart? So my thought is to just bend it into a circle so that the pipes are sort of more in relation to each other. So I actually cut out my little piece already and I wailed on it with a ball peen hammer on some wood to get those nice dents in it. See, look. Love that. All right, so with this stuff, I'm going to drill some holes in it, or I want to show you an alternate technique, which is just a good old nail and a hammer. I want about 6 holes across the bottom and then another 4 at the top to actually attach wires to. I want to make some wires that go up from the top of the little circle. So just take a nail and punctures right through right away. Isn't that great? So much easier than drilling, really. So 4 of those. And then about 6 along the bottom to attach the little things to, the little, the arms of the pipe where they're gonna dance, the little wire arms. Okay, I'm just tidying up everywhere now, all the edges that were a little bit rough. And now I just bend the thing into a circle, but before I go all the way, see this tab that I cut with the snippers? I need to put a little slot there to accept that tab. So I'll just lay it down on a fairly soft wood surface, and I've got a screwdriver, and I'm just gonna pierce it with the screwdriver because the copper is so soft. That's what I love about copper. See? Beauty, eh? Okay, quick file. And then I bend this around like this. And then it takes a little bit of arguing, but I think I can talk this one into going through that little slot. There. Very, very well done. Okay, and then I'm just reaching behind with my finger and closing that tab. All right, so now I got my little kind of crown, and I'm going to start hanging the pipe from this. But first, I want to actually attach some wires to the 4 hanger holes, the top ones.
If at any point you find you're just not happy with your project, it's usually a bad idea to ask anybody else for their opinion. Just remember the words of Franklin P. Jones, who said, "Honest criticism is hard to take, particularly from a relative, a friend, an acquaintance, or a stranger."
Okay, so I've got my little wires tied, and now I'm going to use a fishing swivel. These are just parts of how lures and fishing rods go together. Ooh, my hands are turning green. That's one of the benefits of working with copper. This is another one that also, it just spins. And you just want, the spinning thing is kind of cool because it lets the wind blow the thing so that it dances a little bit. So I'm just gonna lop those all off to about the same length and put them all through the end of this little swivel, like so. And then fold them over. I get them all sort of about the same length. Fold them over. Make an artistic little design with my wire. And then if you have some heavier gauge wire around, you can make a little hook. I just love copper. It's so soft. So you could just take some needle nose pliers and make a little artistic thing. Like this. And then, cool, eh? Now, before I hang it up, though, I want to show you one thing with these, the pipes. That copper wire is extremely attractive, and it fooled me. It fooled me on this one. See, I've hung my pipes from that wire, and they don't make any very good sounds. Listen to the difference, for example. Here's a pipe hung on copper wire. Huh. you think to yourself, you think, oh, that sounds okay, but then listen to this. On really fine wire, it rings. Okay, and if I separate the wires so they're not right alongside the edges of the pipe, even better. Okay, so you want to keep the little arms away from the actual pipe. So to do that, let me just hang this. To do that, I'm not going to hang the pipe like this so the wire goes through the same hole. I'm going to spread it out a little bit so that the wire isn't interfering with the ring, okay? So this is where it really gets fun. So to wire it in a way that it's going to be secure and not fall off, you twist it about 4 times going down. Well, be that way. Twist it 4 times going down, then make a kink in it. Keep going the same direction. Twist it another 4 times going back up. Well, that was, I think, only 2. Okay, wait, things are getting awkward now. Ah! And then through the hole again, and then a few more twists on the bottom. And that way, it's kind of disappointing if the weight of the darn pipes pulls the wire out on you. And then I'm just going to trim off the excess, like this. And then retrieve my wayward pipe and start that again on the other side. Another threading nightmare. Come on. There. There. So about there maybe. And then when I start hanging my next pipe, I'm going to overlap the holes so that this arm of this pipe will share this hole. And that way the pipes are close enough together to start talking to each other. Okay, so proximity is very important. 1, 2. Did you hear it? Look how pretty. Okay, so see, everything's sort of dancing because the holes are drilled low. And the real secret is putting the last one sort of in the middle, so that way there's always, their little bums are contacting each other. Okay, so watch, you have to be able to do the breath test, okay, on your wind chime, okay, for the hypersensitive model. Oh, I'm feeling good now. Okay, so here's the deal. I wanted to tell you a little bit about this finish. This is, you can get books on patinas for metals. So this is the one that we chose. It's kind of a greeny colored one. It's copper nitrate. This is what it looks like before you put it on. Copper nitrate and salt and water, and that's all there is to it. But copper nitrate is available only from a chemist. It's really caustic, so make sure if you get some, you mark it up so nobody ever gets confused. And follow the manufacturer's instructions. They're extremely explicit about the way you handle this stuff. But anyway, we sprayed that on about 5 times. Look how pretty. Oh. Another way that you can fool around with the metal a little bit if you want to is if you have an engraving tool. This is something that they use at the fair when you get a heart necklace with your boyfriend in grade 11, and then he engraves something mushy on it. Watch, safety glasses. You just put that baby down, and then I did some already here, but or love. Okay, you can do goofy stuff with that, or if you have a rotary tool, I love these things. Put a grinding wheel on it and then cool, eh? So you can jazz them up that way too. And they're really fun. It's fun to have these little tools around. Okay, so now, one other thing I wanted to show you. I borrowed some other wind chimes from an artisan named Emans Grantons, and he makes these They're really, talk about hypersensitive. Look, just a tiny little breeze. One's a hummingbird and one's a cardinal. And the way they work is that the cardinal picks up the breeze and then bangs the ring against the other one. So that's another way to go. You can put a little sail kind of thing that catches the wind underneath. And these are actually, this is horse hardware. It's some harness hardware made by the Amish. So that's a brilliant way to go. So clearly you just have to use your imagination and come up with things that bang against each other in a happy way.
If you have fun making your wind chimes, but maybe they don't turn out as brilliantly as you expected, it's tempting to decide it's been a total waste of time. That's when it's critical to remember the words of philosopher Bertrand Russell. The time you enjoy wasting is never wasted time.